elementary school students as young as 5 are being forced to eat their lunches outside in sub-freezing temperatures, while their COVID-terrified teachers eat in the cozy warmth of their classrooms for safety. All because the weak-willed adults in the room have abdicated their responsibility to protect vulnerable children and have instead decided that it's the children's job to protect them. This is what happens when a society decides that the health and safety of children is an acceptable price to pay for an adult's convenience and security. It's atrocious. It's an embarrassing failure. And it is time for it to stop.
Welcome to this week's Wacky Moments of Leftist Extremism. It's a new year, and the leftist media kicked off 2022 with wall-to-wall coverage of the anniversary of the Capital Riot, or as they love to call it, the insurrection, even though nobody's been charged with the actual crime of insurrection. But hey, you know, they don't need facts. They just started right off by going all Nazi imagery and equating it to the Holocaust.
If anyone listened to the recent Supreme Court oral arguments in 2 cases challenging the Biden jab mandates, he or she heard what might finally wake up a few folks as to the utter ignorance and/or contempt many of those tax-fed, black-robed oracles have towards the facts and towards their celebrated Constitution.
Let's pretend that any one of you and I were having a debate or argument and I proceeded to make a claim about you. The burden of proof is on me to corroborate what I'm claiming, right? All right, well, let's say after I make the claim, I then present sufficient evidence to prove everything I'm claiming about you to be true. Now the burden of proof would shift to you to prove that I'm wrong by discrediting the evidence I've presented, right? Then why is it that Dr. Anthony Fauci can get away with responding to evidence-based claims against him by basically calling Rand Paul a lying duty head? If you or I lied to the Senate, repeatedly mind you, about our involvement in pretty much anything they're questioning us about, with our only retort consisting of deflection without any evidence to contradict the claims against us, we would be thrown in jail for perjury without a moment's hesitation. So the question has been, is, and will continue to be, why does anyone still listen to a thing Fauci says?
Dr. Robert Malone is one of the immunologists and virologists who has been credited as the inventor of the mRNA technology. Yes, the same technology that you may have received from the Moderna or Pfizer vaccines. Dr. Malone is a master of the subject, but apparently Big Tech thinks they are more qualified. Welcome to episode 20 of MRC's newest video series, Censor Track with TR. This week, we're talking about how Big Tech thinks they know better than the licensed professionals when it comes to COVID-19. Now, as a disclaimer, I'm not saying every doctor and scientist is automatically right, but shouldn't they be allowed to speak freely? They probably have a bit more knowledge than a recent college graduate deciding what can be said on social media, right?
On today's episode of Who Wants to Be a Flaming Hypocrite, Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser is reminding people that as of this coming Saturday, they'll be required to show a photo ID to get into bars, restaurants, indoor recreational spaces, and a slew of other public places in the city where they'll have to show proof of vaccination or get booted off the premises. Which is hilarious, frankly, because about 2 seconds ago, Democrats, like Bowser, were screaming that it's racist to require people to show a photo ID before voting. Something about black and brown folks being too poor and stupid to get one, or something. I'm paraphrasing here. But somehow, it's not racist to require them to get that same photo ID to go into a Starbucks. Funny how nothing's racist when a two-faced Democrat does it, or at least it would be funny if so many fools weren't still buying into it.
Many Americans are claiming that the Washington state government is ready to indefinitely incarcerate the unjabbed in detention camps as part of a vast proclamation of emergency health powers. But is that really the case? Washington pop media and Washington bureaucrats imply that the answer is no. But if one looks more deeply, these folks appear to be mimicking the sentiment Bill Clinton once infamously offered. It depends on what the meaning of the word is.